The rescheduled Fury Klitschko rematch was announced, when was it? A couple of weeks ago now? And just a couple of days ago, I made a video. I think it was a video talking about Hughie Fury. I can't remember exactly. I make so many videos, I lose track. But in one of the videos I made in the past few days, I expressed my concern that this rescheduled Fury Klitschko rematch may not take place at all. And I suggested that it might be better to actually make the titles vacant. So in essence, strip Tyson Fury if this rematch doesn't go ahead in October. Now, lo and behold, it's now come out in the press that this rematch has once again been postponed. And I say that in inverted commas because it really is looking like this fight is never going to happen. And in which case, as I said in the video a couple of days ago, maybe it's best to strip Tyson Fury. A couple of people took exception to the fact that I said that. They said, no, Hatman, Tyson Fury won his titles in the ring. It's wrong to strip him. Understand, I am a boxing fan. My allegiance is to the sport of boxing, not to Tyson Fury. I do have a lot of time for Tyson Fury, but ultimately my love for boxing supersedes any admiration I may have for a particular boxer. At least in a sporting sense. Okay, Tyson Fury's personal life is different. I would, put the actual life of somebody higher than entertainment. But in terms of in the arena of boxing, I have to put what's best for boxing over what's best for Tyson Fury's boxing career. And Tyson Fury has now been champion, what, a year? Coming up a year? And he hasn't defended his title yet. And it's not because of any long-standing injury, no, because this rematch of Klitschko has been rescheduled several times now, or called off several times by Fury. And certainly if it turns out to be Fury that pulled out again this time, if it turns out to be Team Fury that pulled out again this time, I don't see any argument for not stripping Tyson Fury. What the hell is going on here? I say we make the titles vacant and the sanctioning bodies can pick whoever they want to pick to fight for the vacant belts, because every single time that Tyson Fury pulls out and this Klitschko rematch gets rescheduled, it damages the image of boxing. Yes, it does. This is why I'm advocating him being stripped. Every time it happens, every time people go book the tickets, go book their hotels, book their flights, and they have to go cancel once again, it's a black eye for boxing. We don't need this kind of thing. So rather than that continuing, I think it's better that they make the titles vacant. Why is this stuff going on? I don't know. But I suspect that this UCAD situation has got a lot to do with it. Perhaps, and I've mentioned this in the previous video, this is just speculation, but perhaps the Furies fear the worst, that they could get banned by UCAD. And they're trying to sort it all out behind the scenes. Maybe that's what's causing them to keep pulling out. I mean, when Tyson Fury didn't show up to the press conference to announce this rescheduled rematch, that wasn't a good sign right there. Now, plenty of fighters don't show up to press conferences, but they still turn up and fight. But in this situation, you're talking about a rescheduled fight, a fight where Tyson Fury pulled out in the first place. So when the rematch is announced and he's not at a press conference, that's a problem. That doesn't exactly instill confidence in the paying public, does it? So, like I say, people, in my view, I think Tyson Fury should be stripped. Make the titles vacant and let's get the heavyweight division rocking and rolling again. Because two of the belts there, the WBO and the WBA, are stagnant and nothing is going on with them for a year. If you think it's unreasonable to strip Tyson Fury, then how long is it going to be without Fury fighting and these titles just being stagnant? How long is it going to be? Give me a time scale if what I'm saying is unreasonable. How long does it have to be before you advocate stripping Tyson Fury? 18 months? 2 years? How long does it have to be? You don't think that hurts boxing? It's not like, as I say, Tyson Fury has some type of long-standing injury. Let's say he broke his arm. Had some type of serious injury that might take 10 months to heal. If that was the case, then yeah, you could say, all right, let him keep the belts. But that's not the case, folks. That is not the case. There's something else going on with Team Fury, and we can only speculate as to what it is, but it's not good. Also, I made a video earlier on today about Hughie Fury and Anthony Joshua. And Eddie Hearn said that fight is unlikely. Well, in an IFL TV interview, which was also uploaded today, which I watched, Eddie Hearn said that Team Fury want about, or Mick Hennessy wants about 40% of the purse for Hughie Fury to fight Anthony Joshua. I mean, I've never heard of something so ridiculous in all my life. Mandatory challengers don't even get 40%. Mandatory challengers get about 25%. These are people who have to literally fight their way into a mandatory position. And they get 25% against the champion. And here comes Hughie Fury, a guy who, outside of hardcore boxing circles, is literally unknown. And this guy's demanding 40% for a voluntary challenge against the champion Joshua? Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there is absolutely no way that Eddie Hearn would pay them 40% of... it's just absurd. The money that Eddie Hearn is offering them, I'm sure, is way beyond anything Hughie Fury's been paid before. But yet, they're demanding 40%. Again, this is according to Eddie Hearn. He said this in the IFL TV interview. There's only two explanations that I can think of as to why Team Fury would want 40% of the purse against Joshua, or, you know, be asking for that. The first reason would be that they're just using Joshua's name for publicity and they have no intention of fighting him. So they're pricing themselves out deliberately by asking for 40%. And the other option would be that they're worried about Hughie's career, perhaps because of this illness that he has and they don't know how long he's got in the game because of the illness. Or maybe they're worried about the UCAD situation. They're worried he might get banned by UCAD. And so therefore, if it's one of those two, maybe they're trying to cash out and make as much money as they can before the ship sinks. And Team Fury at the moment does seem to be a sinking ship. And to add to all this misery, you've got the fact that Frank Warren of late has got a very, very bad track record of having shows cancelled and postponed and all that type of stuff. As well as the Fury UCAD situation and all these things going on. But casual boxing fans often won't differentiate between a Frank Warren show and a Matchroom show, Eddie Hearn show. They'll just think that, oh wow, this boxing show that I wanted to go and watch keeps getting postponed and called off and this, that and the other. Well, this don't happen when I go see MMA. This don't happen when I go watch football. Boxing is a joke. Yeah, this kind of thing hurts boxing people. So again, just to finish off the video, if what I'm saying is unreasonable, that Tyson Fury should be stripped, you give me a timeline. Tell me what a reasonable timeline is. A time frame, sorry. A reasonable time frame. How long should we give Tyson Fury? How long do you think is reasonable to give Tyson Fury before you start talking about stripping him? Let me know in the comment section below. And also let me know if you think this fight is going to happen at all. Fury Klitschko 2. In fact, before I go, let me just talk about Wladimir Klitschko. If the titles do get made vacant and Fury gets stripped, I'm sure Wladimir Klitschko will be near the top of the list with the WBO and WBA for fighting for the vacant belts. He'll probably try and battle as hard as he can legally to get himself reinstated as champion, especially if Tyson Fury ends up being found guilty of doping when he goes before this panel. But it has to be said, Tyson Fury tested clean before and after the Wladimir Klitschko fight. So from a legal point of view, it might be difficult for Wladimir Klitschko to get the belts back without having to fight for them, because Fury was definitely clean in that fight. So perhaps they'll make them vacant. Wladimir might fight somebody for them. Let's say he wins them. Some people are worried that we might go back into another reign of Wladimir Klitschko for years, where he's dominating the division and what have you, and keeping the belts under a stranglehold. It's not going to happen. Let me tell you that right now. I make a few predictions now and again on this channel, and this is a prediction I'm making right now. There is no way that the heavyweight division can possibly go back to how it was during the majority of Wladimir Klitschko's reign. It can't happen. The heavyweight landscape is just totally different now. There's far more talent out there right now than there was during the majority of Wladimir Klitschko's reign, when Klitschko was beating people like Calvin Brock, a guy who was a part-time boxer who actually worked in a bank. People like Samuel Peter. You know, these are the kind of guys. Lamont Brewster. These are the kind of guys, no disrespect to them, but these are the kind of guys that Wladimir Klitschko was reigning over. You would have to be smoking some drugs that are far too strong to try and tell me that those guys are more talented than the current crop of heavyweights that we have at the moment. The likes of Joshua Parker, Wilder, Ortiz, etc. These guys are way more talented. So you got that issue right there, that Klitschko's going to have to contend with far better people than he was contending with when he was champion. People like Pianetta and Marius Wack, all those guys who he was fighting. So the standard of competition is much better now. Number two, Wladimir is long in the tooth. He's what, 40 years old, 41 years old now? Nobody can go on forever. So he's got age against him. And finally, there's the fact that Wladimir is not the only show in town anymore. You know, with regards to money. During the majority of the Klitschko reign, the Klitschkos were the only cash cows in the division. There was a brief period where David Haye was a little bit of a cash cow, but it didn't last long. For the most part, the Klitschkos were the only cash cows in the division. So if you wanted to get a title shot, you were forced to go to Germany and bow down to all the Klitschko's demands. And they were considerable demands. Whereas now, there are several champions. So challengers can shop around, if you will, for the best deal for a title shot. It's a buyer's market right now, rather than a seller's market in the heavyweight division. Contenders have got a lot more options, a lot more different routes they can take to the title. And so therefore you're going to get better deals being offered. When you've got a Joshua there who's a cash cow, who's doing pay-per-view, making massive money, he can offer very enticing incentives to certain fighters. Same with Deontay Wilder. And we don't know what's going to happen to the WBA and the WBO belts. Maybe they'll go to two different people. Yeah? So from a contender's point of view, they don't have to fight Klitschko. If Klitschko gets hold of one of the belts or two of the belts, the other champions don't have to fight him. And the contenders don't have to fight him if they want to get a title shot. They can go to Joshua or Wilder or whoever else has the titles at the time. So those days of Wladimir Klitschko reigning supreme in Germany and having people come over and sign slave contracts where they were locked into multiple rematches and spongy canvases and uncomfortable gloves and all types of other shenanigans, those days are over. The contenders won't have to put up with that anymore. So I give Wladimir a year and a half tops, and he's out. I'm not saying he's necessarily going to retire in a year or a year and a half, but in a year and a half's time, it will be very apparent that Wladimir Klitschko is, I don't want to say a spent force, but he's certainly a mere mortal in the eyes of most boxing fans within a year and a half. They'll be looking at him and they'll think, you know what? There's a whole bag of heavyweights right now that could beat Wladimir Klitschko. That's what they'll be saying in a year and a half's time. So those are my feelings, people. Drop your feelings in the comments section below. It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.